You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Christma. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every single Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time. If you want to get subscribed so you don't miss out on any of the live workshops that we do, courses that we're adding, information to help you become successful in real estate, here's what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to text the word success to 813-333-2676. You text the word success to 813-333-2676. We'll send you a text message whenever it is that we go live to help you understand real estate further. And what we're talking about today specifically is investing in real estate, a very popular topic out there, but especially right now as we have a changing real estate market, there's a lot of opportunities that exist if you know what to look for. So welcome in everybody tuning in. Maybe you're tuning in right at tampaschoolofrealestate.com. If you're on our email list, that's probably where you're watching from. Maybe you're tuning in on Facebook. I'm going to go ahead and try to get the Facebook chat loaded up for today as well. We'll get the YouTube chat loaded up in case you're watching over on YouTube. In other news, we also had our first VIP Ask the Instructor this week, and believe it or not, it was actually the most people we've ever had on an Ask the Instructor, even when we used to do these for free. Now this is actually included as part of the Pass First Try bundle, and it's super right direct to the point, almost like you're in a mini weekend prep class, and it's every week, every Wednesday we record them, so you could also review them, and they go hand in hand with all the other exam prep that you'll find in the Pass First Try bundle. And if you have any questions about getting started with your real estate license, about what courses you need, about how to pass the exam, you can reach out to our advisors at the same phone number here. You could call or text us at that number. Any questions you have, anything we can get you information on or help you with, 813-333-2676. But yeah, so we're talking about investing today. Because, believe it or not, before I got my real estate license, that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be a realtor. I didn't want to be a real estate professional. I didn't want to be a real estate broker. That's one of my hats that I wear today. I'm a broker with multiple licenses, multiple brokerages. So I have a little bit of experience on that side, as well as experience on the investment side, as well as experience on the education side. So if you're wanting to learn more about real estate and real estate investing, you're in the right place. So welcome in. But let me know in the chat where it is you're tuning in from. Do you already have a real estate license? Are you thinking about getting a real estate license? So for those of you that are tuning in with us live today, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. But that way we can really tailor today's show to really be the most beneficial for everyone that is tuning in live with us today. So let me know in the chat, you know, what is it that you're hoping to find out? What do you want to learn more about? Where are you coming from? Are you brand new to real estate? Do you already have a real estate license? Are you already doing real estate investments and you're looking to expand upon that? Are you a contractor? I know we've got a lot of people in our audience that are contractors and work in the construction industry, and you're around properties all the time, and especially if you're somewhat handy, the whole fix and flip idea can be pretty advantageous. Or maybe not fix and flip, maybe you BRRRR it, where you buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. That's a really great strategy as well. There's so many ways to invest in real estate, and there's tricks available to you. Not deceptive tricks, but they're like magic tricks, because if you don't know about them, they seem like they're magic. What if I told you we could pull 3% for a down payment out of your hat? That sounds like a magic trick, doesn't it? No, you just need to have a real estate license. So maybe that's why you're interested in this. Maybe you're already investing and you want to increase your ROIs. You want to increase your return on investment. being able to capitalize upon the commission, not having to pay that out to a real estate professional. If you're already doing most of the underwriting and the work yourself, or the calculations, the due diligence. I mean, yes, there's benefits to realtors. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of investors that are too busy that need to pay a realtor. They don't have a license. But if you're wanting to double down on this, if you're wanting to see more exponential gains in your life as opposed to just marginal gains. What does that mean, exponential versus marginal? So, two ways you could go about growing. You could grow marginally. That's marginal growth. That's if you have like some sort of investment portfolio, that's probably what it's going to look like most of the time, especially if that doesn't involve real estate, especially if you're not taking advantage of short-term capital opportunities. And so this would be what we would call marginal. But you might be more interested in exponential. Which growth would you rather have? If we're going off the charts up here, if this is lots of money, lots of wealth, lots of assets, and this is being broke, where would you want to be in this? Well, so where most people get caught up, let's zoom in right here. And I drew this in very intentionally. So this marginal path right here. Go to school, get a good job. Go to school, get a good job, whereas the exponential route is going to require you to invest in yourself. But you pay the price today. You put yourself through this temporary pain. To create a future that most people are not able to experience. Because most people are going to follow along this marginal path. And for how much money that's out there, this marginal path can seem pretty attractive sometimes. But that's just simply because most people don't understand how much money is really out there and what that exponential path to wealth actually looks like. But it's not going to be through your 401k. Those are the things that, you know, when we're on this marginal path right here, we're talking a 401k. Look, it's good to save money. I'll be honest with you, I've got a 401k. It's not my favorite investment, but I've got it. One of the things. One of the many things. It's good to be diversified. And when you run your own business, you can make yourself an employee of that business. So you could still get employee benefits as well as be in control of your business. And talk to an accountant. I'm not any sort of tax professional, but typically that's a good business practice to have yourself being paid a salary where you're getting taxes taken out of your salary. And then if there's additional proceeds and profits the business makes, that's your money as well. But then you could have company benefits for your employees, such as a 401k. And guess what? If you're an employee of your company, you also get that. But that, you've got to keep in mind, is not something that's part of the exponential path to wealth. There's no such thing as an exponential 401k. 401ks, IRAs. This was my favorite. Not really. I mean, I like it because I like having cash. But a savings account, you're basically throwing your money away. I heard somebody tell me the other day, I could get 3.5% in the savings account. All right, that's still not keeping up with inflation. So, I mean, it's good that your cash isn't losing all of its value, but 3.5% is still trash. That's not exponential, that's marginal. Do you want to think marginally or do you want to think exponentially? And look, I'm not here to throw shade on one or the other because they both have their pros and cons. But some people are going to be very unhappy if they're stuck in this marginal lifestyle when they want an exponential lifestyle. You know, some other investments. What else do we got? We talked about the 401k, the IRA, the savings. We could talk about the stocks. We could talk about crypto. Who knows with these things? Who knows? I mean, maybe you get some little bumps like this and this and that, and you're some sort of day trader and you're having a heart attack because the money goes up and down. There's not really much you can do to control it. Look, when I see money in my accounts go up and down, I can't sleep at night. Well, when it goes up, I can sleep at night. I can sleep well when they go up. But if they're going down, I don't sleep at night. So, you know, especially with something like that, this is why I don't like stocks or crypto, savings accounts that don't pay enough. IRAs and 401ks, okay, they're good to have. And look, I probably could check every single one of these boxes. I do own crypto. I do own stocks. I do have a savings account. I do have a 401k, IRA, all that stuff. I've got that. I've got a job. I've got all those marginal things. I'm not saying that you can't have these things. You could still be an employee of your business as a real estate investor. And that's part of how you're structuring this here. If you don't treat this as a business, it won't be a business. And you're not going to be able to experience the exponential returns, because the marginal route is through having a job, if you haven't noticed that. And again, I'm not here to say that's a terrible thing. Like I said, I have all of these things. But I don't count on that for growth. Because if I want exponential growth, that's where we've got to look at different things. That's where we're looking at, and prove me wrong, because every billionaire, every millionaire, I promise you they own this. Find me a billionaire that doesn't own real estate. I challenge you to find me a billionaire that does not own real estate. And you might say, well, what do they do with the real estate? Some of them, if they make their money on other things, they just own it to own it. And they own it for speculation. So let's talk about some of the benefits of real estate. And this is one of the things, being a card-carrying realtor for so many years, having access to all this data and tools, staying up to date on industry publications and so on and so forth. You learn all of these real estate facts. Number one rule of real estate is real estate always goes up in value, historically. Prove me wrong. We really have to wait till the end of time to be able to know the full outcome of this. But historically, real estate has always gone up in value. And that's why there's, again, billionaires, millionaires, and just everyday people owning a $200,000, $300,000 home that are here to cash in on what we call appreciation. And appreciation is very much tied to supply and demand. And this is a big reason why there's a lot of places throughout the country right now that are hurting, because they're lacking demand. Maybe they're not even building homes. Maybe their supply of homes is staying constant. But if everyone's leaving their state, and I'm talking to you, California, I'm talking to New York, I'm talking to you, Northeast, I'm talking to you, West, all the people that are leaving these states, that demand is dropping off. And if you look at statistics for these states, you're seeing their real estate market decline. But what's going on here in Florida? Well, in Florida, we happen to be the #1 most moved to state in the country currently. And so what that means is we have immense demand for real estate here. Now, a lot of people look back at, like, say, 2008 and previous recessions and depressions and so on and so forth, and they look at things happening now. And look, I'm not proud of the state of affairs of the world right now. If it were up to me, things would look a lot different. But it's not up to me. It's not up to you. It's not up to any of us. We just got to make the best of what we've got here. And we've got to realize what trends we can pick up on. So again, there's a lot of demand for Florida. And if you study the statistics, you look at the supply. One of the big factors of 2008 and why that happened, that whole financial crisis and everything that happened there that unraveled, if you look at the supply was way more massive than it was today. There were way more new homes being constructed in those years leading up to 2008 than there are today. So while, yes, there's changing interest rates, there's all kinds of other factors that are affecting the market that are scaring people right now. However, when you're a professional, when you're someone who has a license, who lives and breathes in this environment, you naturally get to see opportunities that the everyday public does not get to. How many of you guys have heard from some sort of real estate guru? You've been on some sort of YouTube or Facebook or whatever it is that you're maybe looking at there, and this real estate guru's like, oh, you don't need money to invest, you just need other people's money. And yeah, that's not wrong. But what's going to make other people want to give you their money? How really do you get other people's money? You know, that's part of how I was able to leverage other people's money, other people's credit, other people's assets to be able to start becoming an investor. They call this OPM. Other people's money. Or the dirty word for it, debt. Oh, gross, debt. No, we don't want debt. Debt is bad. All debt is bad. Debt caused interest. Debt is bad. No, debt is good if you use it correctly. Because other people's money is literally debt. What, are you just stealing this money? No, you owe them the money back. So let's call it what it is. It's debt. And if you could get debt from a financial institution, you're using their money. You don't have to worry about going to somebody. But if you can't qualify to go buy a 20-unit investment property, how are you going to get other people's money? By having knowledge, by having expertise, by having know-how, by understanding the real estate market and understanding the opportunities that exist there. And not just that real estate always goes up in value, but especially getting back to the supply and demand concept, what specifically is in demand? Because if you could find what's in demand, and you could understand why it's in demand, and you could present that to other people to get their money, well, that's really what you do as a realtor. You're just convincing other people to spend their money or sell their properties. And maybe not even so much convincing as it is helping them. Although there is a degree of convincing that it's a good idea. Because when people are about to make one of the biggest decisions of their life, they need a little confidence boost, as well as the data and information to know that they're making the correct decision. And that's really what we do as real estate professionals. And so if you like this idea of other people's money, you can leverage your knowledge. And what I mean by that is if you know the market, you know the area, you know what properties are selling for, what they're renting for, what's in demand, what there's a lack of supply of for something that is in demand, what will appreciate. And appreciation, it's a bit of speculation, so that's why you look at other things such as cash flow. We're going to put that down as a fact. Because real estate always cash flow, it just which way does it flow? Because if you think about your home, a lot of people buy their home for the idea of appreciation, that it'll go up in value, and it almost always does. Over the long run, it always will. Short term, you could have some ups and downs, but over the long run, real estate always goes up in value. Real estate, when it's not your primary residence, can also cash flow to you. If it is your primary residence, it's cash flowing away from you. You got to pay your mortgage, your taxes, your insurance, your interest. You got to pay for property repairs. You're paying all these things out of pocket for your home. However, when this is a rental property and somebody else is paying for your mortgage, your taxes, your insurance, your interest, your property management, your repairs, and then some, now you've got positive cash flow to yourself. And when you could show that positive cash flow, that's what's going to help you be able to secure other people's money. Now, maybe you're just working as a real estate agent on the deal. Maybe you're not able to buy or sell it. You haven't been able to find somebody to line up the funding. That's okay, because you could stack cash through your commission checks. Let's say you find a property that we'll call it $300,000. You remember that magic trick I told you about earlier where we're going to pull 3% for your down payment and closing cost out of a hat? Well, it's actually not going to come out of the hat. It's going to come out of the MLS. Because when you have a real estate license and you've joined the realtors, have access to the MLS, you not only have access to the most comprehensive, most accurate database of properties that exist, but on top of that, you're now a party to all of these pre-negotiated commissions, which they're always negotiable. They're sometimes 2, 3, 4%. They vary. But let's say that you're getting 3% on $300,000. So if you're a realtor and you're going to represent yourself in the purchase of your primary residence investment property, it doesn't matter why you're buying it. It just matters that you have a real estate license so that this is legal. Because in the MLS, the whole purpose of the MLS is pre-negotiated commissions that have already been agreed to be paid by the seller. So if you use a realtor, your realtor is going to get that 3% commission. But if you're your own realtor, you can now take that 3% commission, this $9,000 here, and apply to your down payment. So whatever that commission is, you could apply it towards your down payment, towards your closing cost. So that's now reducing the amount of cash. You're using other people's money. Who's the other people? The other people were the realtor that you would have hired, but you went out and got the knowledge and training and license yourself, so that way you could get the $9,000 and use that to acquire the property in the first place. There's a lot of people I know that get their real estate license specifically for this. That they want to become a homeowner, they want to be an investor, they want to own more real estate, and it's hard to turn this down. Yes, you got to take a 2-week class and pass 2 exams, but big deal. Even if it takes you a few times. I've known people that have taken the state exam, and trust me on this one, I know some of these people personally, they don't always study, or if they are, they're studying the wrong information sometimes, or they're easily distractible, or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times you take this exam. We all get there at our own pace, and no one's going to know how many times it took you. Yeah, sure, if you want to ask me, I've passed all my exams the first try, but can you verify that? No. Because if you look up my licenses, you'll just see the date I was licensed. You won't be able to see how many times it was that I took to take the exam. So you'll just have to take my word for it. And for the same thing for you, it doesn't matter if you take 10 times to pass the exam. Who cares? As long as you get the license in the end. Because that's all people are going to be able to see, is that you have a license. They're not going to see how many times, how long it took you to get the license unless you go about telling them. So don't let that discourage you. These are easy exams if you know the information. If you don't know the information from the course, if you don't have that all held in, it can be difficult to pass this exam. Don't get me wrong. But if you need any help with any of that, that's literally what we specialize in more than anything, is helping people pass the exam. So this phone number right here, 813-333-2676. We've got some great specials going on today. Hope you're having a great Friday today. You can use promo code GREAT, and that's going to actually get you a discount on any order over $350 today, a pretty significant discount. That's promo code GREAT. So if you're tuning in today, you could use that promo code today, GREAT, or just call us up, because if you call into us, we'll always get you the best deal that we possibly can. 813-333-2676. We have payment plans. So if you want to use other people's money, look, don't even feel bad. It's not my money. It's a firm's money. We work with a firm, so you could do no interest payment plans we have available. We have long-term interest payment plans available. There's all kinds of different options. We could do PayPal. You could Venmo us money. We take cryptocurrency. We take Amazon Pay, Facebook Pay, Apple Pay, Google Pay. We don't say no to money here. Because if you could scrounge up some money somewhere to make your life better, we want to help that be a possibility for you. And look, if you need to have us send you invoices or anything like that, reach out to us, 813-333-2676. But that license, again, allows you to access other people's money, your realtor's money. Now, if you'd like your realtor and they're very beneficial to you, yeah, you don't have to replace them. You don't have to take their job from them. But if that $9,000 sounds like, well, I could probably do what my realtor's doing and walk away with $9,000. Look, if this is your full-time thing, if you're already doing real estate or you're planning on doing real estate, it makes sense to get your real estate license. If you want to be a real estate investor, you don't have to have a real estate license to own real estate. However, you have access to significantly more opportunities, to training, to knowledge, to information, for all the reasons why investors that are regular investors still use realtors and real estate professionals. You know, I could scroll through my text messages and I get investors that text me every single day asking me for deals. Because investors love working with real estate professionals because they could do more business. And for them, it's worth the $9,000. But for you, again, especially if this is your full-time thing, maybe you want to learn more, maybe you want more access, whatever the reason may be, you could get that 3%. Let's say you're out there buying $1 million home. What's that going to be? $1 million home, let's say you're going to get a 3% commission on it. That's $30,000. Now, granted, you still have to qualify for the rest of that there, but you could literally pull 30 grand out of a hat, out of the MLS. And look, maybe that $1 million property is not maybe that's not a home. Maybe it's not some waterfront mansion. Maybe this is a multi-unit property. How many of you guys, let me know in the chat if you want to hear about multi-unit, if you want to look at some multi-family math, if you want to look at multi-family, or maybe you want to look at single-family. Let me know in the chat. What do you want to talk about investment-wise today? Are you more interested in learning about single-family investment or multi-family investment? I've got the chat loaded up right here. It should be right below the video if you're on tampaschool.com. So let me know. What do you want to find out more? Single-family, multi-family, short-term rentals, long-term rentals, medium-term rentals, fixing and flipping? What kind of topics are you guys interested in learning more about today? Or do you want to just keep talking more about how the real estate license benefits you in investing? Because there's numerous, we could literally spend all day just talking about all the things you can do with your real estate license that are going to give you an advantage over all the other investors. You know, let's talk single family, because that's where most people start out. Multifamily, it's a bigger deal, but that might be that $1 million property. Going back to this $1 million number right here, that might not be a $1 million waterfront property. That might be a $1 million 10-unit property. And so now all of a sudden you're securing your stake in that property while you're using other people's money to be able to secure the rest of the financing on that. But now you're immediately able to kick in 3% right from here just from finding that deal. Whatever that commission is in the MLS. Maybe it's even more than that. Could be less, could be more. They're always negotiable. But let's talk about the cash flow aspect. And we'll talk about cash flow versus a capital gain. So ultimately, these are two key ways to invest in real estate. Either to invest in cash flow, and these are going to be typically your rentals, or capital gains, which are going to be your fix and flip. Now, with the rental side of things, this is where it could be really attractive because there are a couple of pros that you have here. So let's start off with the number one con, is that you have a smaller but more consistent payday. Whereas fix and flip, you're going for one big payday. And look, you don't necessarily have to decide this in advance. I always like to run the numbers for both scenarios because this is a great exit strategy if you get yourself in over your head. So you could always use the fix and flip as an exit strategy out of a cash flowing rental property. But you actually don't need to do that. If anyone's familiar with the Brrrr method of investing, the Brrrr method is going to be where you, rather than sell the property, you instead can refinance. And so refinancing allows you to stay in the cash flowing investment. Now again, you're having smaller paydays, but they're more consistent because the only time you get a payday in a fix and flip is when you sell. And the con, the big drawback on the fix and flip, especially when you have a market where it could be a little bit more volatile, but a little bit more actively changing like we're having today, where things could go up and down more on a short-term basis. Real estate, again, historically always goes up in value, but with the fix and flip, you're not factoring in rental. And that's why, again, running these both side by side and understanding all of your options on a property are going to be what really gives you the most significant advantage, because you'll know all the different plays you could call depending on what's going on in the market, what's going on with your rental situation, with the fix and flip situation. Because let's say the property's got a great value, you could sell it and you could cash in and cash out. But now you're not getting another payday until you find another property, and you're doing that all over again. And this relies a lot on speculation in the market. Because if short term, let's say the market goes down a little bit, so recently property values went down a little bit, but now they're back going up again. That happens. That's a very normal cycle in the real estate market. That is very common to see ups and downs over the short term. Historically, it always goes up in value, but the short term, you do see those up and downs. Well, the problem with a fix and flip is the timing. Because every day that you own that property costs you money. It costs you mortgage interest, it costs you taxes, it costs you insurance, it costs you time, it costs you so many things. And so if construction, because that's another part of the flip side of things, if construction gets delayed, if the rehab gets delayed, that now is delaying your ability to cash in and get your big payday. And so now every additional month that you didn't factor in, you now have your carry cost. So we call these your carry cost. That's your mortgage, your taxes, insurance, interest, anything that you're paying, electrical, if you've got to have electricity probably to rehab the property. That's your carry cost. And your carry cost can drown out all of your profits if you have bad timing with this. And that's why the fix and flip can be dangerous, because you're going for a short-term big payday. Now, the reward is definitely going to be bigger on the short term. So it's really both of these. Risk and reward are both higher. Now let's go back over to the cash flow side of things here. So let's talk about, let's say you refinance the property. Let's say you pick up a property for $125,000. And $125,000, that's what we acquire the property for. Let's say we put another $50,000 into the property. And so now, our sunk cost into this property, in addition to time, our carry cost, and all those other factors we'd actually factor into this as well, it's going to be at least $175,000. But now, let's say that the market appreciates. Let's say that these repairs do increase the property's value, and you're not, going too crazy here. I know this might seem like a lot in comparison to the property, but let's say that's because this property for $125,000 was in bad shape, and that maybe it'd be worth about $200,000 with these repairs. But let's say, this takes a year's worth of time, and the market is appreciated as well. And so let's say all of a sudden that this property now is worth $300,000 in value. Well, now you've got $125,000 in equity. And yes, you did invest that $50,000 in costs there in your repairs to create that equity. But what also is going to happen is you're going to pay down your mortgage balance. Let's say your balance goes down. That all now factors in when you refinance, because now when you're refinancing, you're going off of this value rather than the value that you acquired the property at. So once you make your repairs, you get the property in good condition, you get it cash flowing, you get it rented, and now it's got a higher value. You refinance the property, and let's keep going down here. Let's say we've got our $300,000 value, and we're going to now refinance this at 80-20, 80% loan. So that's going to be $240,000. We're going to cover our $175,000 in costs that we had. And we're going to be left with about $65,000 if my math is right here. All right, 40 and 25, yep, 65. So now you still own the property. And we haven't even talked about rental income yet. But now you're able to cash out $65,000 and you didn't have to sell it. This is called, I did not invent this. I wish I did. Probably a lot more ahead of people if I hadn't found about this until later. But what you're doing here to make this happen is you buy, you rehab or repair, you rent, and then you refinance, and then you repeat. You buy the property, and you might have heard me talk about this recently about profit on the buy. You do a smart rehab. What is a smart rehab? It means that you're not going top dollar, top shelf for every little thing, because that's going to cost too much money. You know, maybe you find a property that does need significant repairs. You're not trying to make it the Taj Mahal. You're trying to make it livable. And I don't mean like a slum, because there's some pretty great mid-grade finishes that are out there, and these mid-grade finishes can look fantastic and still get a pretty close to top dollar. It depends on the market. Again, there's different price points. You factor in short-term and vacation rentals. There's some crazy stuff and crazy profitability that's going on there right now. But again, you could force appreciation. That's what this is here. When you have a smart rehab, you know, going back to these numbers here, yeah, you might have spent $50,000 in repairs on this property. We don't need the internet right now, though.
Kind of breaking up.
Hopefully you guys are able to see me still. I know this whiteboard says it's not connecting here. Let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. While we're on break, let me know in the chat what questions you have about investing in real estate. Do you want to see more about short term, about cash flow, about fix and flip, about vacation rentals, medium term, long term? Let us know in the chat. We're going to be back to this quick commercial break. I'm John Christopher. You're watching State of Real Estate.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the question simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida real estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the question simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The question simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.
Alrighty, hello and welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. We got the whiteboard back here, so we'll just recap some of this stuff here before we wrap up for the day, because we are almost out of time. But look, there's so many opportunities out there right now to invest in real estate, in Florida real estate. I think this is like Fort Lauderdale or something like that down there. But it could be anywhere in Florida. Florida is so in demand right now, and that's the number one thing that's driving the growth in Florida. And in Florida specifically, you compare marginal versus exponential. We're not having marginal appreciation. We're having more close to that exponential appreciation in Florida, but that's because of the excess demand that we're experiencing. So that's going to help you out with your appreciation of your properties, just naturally increasing value just due to the market. Look, here's the thing with inflation. I know inflation's freaking everybody out right now. And if you're in these boats over here, if you're in the 401k boat, the IRA boat, the savings account boat, the stock boat, the crypto boat, those ones are all drowning in inflation right now. But when you have an inflationary environment, real estate is like a buoy. It's like you got a life jacket on when your investments are through real estate. And look, that's not to say that real estate is an infallible investment. You got to be smart about it. You got to manage your risk. Not necessarily avoid risk, but manage your risk. And you can manage your risk more effectively the more knowledgeable it is that you are. Again, leverage your knowledge. And the regular cash flow is what is going to make the best long-term investment. And when we're talking about other people's money, that's usually going to be something more attractive than a big payday. Remember about the commission. You can apply your commission right towards the down payment if you have a real estate license. But going back to this comparison we're going through here. So again, the fix and flip, yeah, you could get a big payday, but have another exit strategy available. Your other exit strategy might be the rental, the cash flow. Because let's say this property here, after it's all said and done, that we have a, let's say a $1,500 payment. Out the door. Let's just estimate that's where we're at, $1,500. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. Interest rates are kind of crazy right now, so that definitely increases these numbers. But let's just assume we've got $1,500 out the door. You know, let's say we're doing a long-term rental. We're probably going to be able to rent that out for at least $2,000 a month. Let's say we're doing medium term. And look, this isn't necessarily a formula based on what you're paying for your home. This is just, you've identified this as a great opportunity. And also these medium-term and short-term rental options. If this is in Florida, there's a high likelihood that there's a market for your property in the medium or short-term market. And when we're talking about medium and short-term market, medium term, you might be talking $4,000 a month. Or the short term, this is where you could be talking, hundreds of dollars a night, to where this could be, let's say, something like $8,000 a month. These are just general estimates. This will vary based on the demand, the supply and demand for this property in whatever market it's in. But now you see your opportunity for cash flow. So if you could earn, for example, $500 a month or $2,500 a month, or in the $8,000 case here, what's that, $6,500 a month? If you could earn these little paydays on top of the ability to refinance and cash out of the property an extra, say, $65,000 here. I mean, this option, this is the reason why a lot of people aren't selling real estate, because of the cash flow. Yeah, capital gains are cool, but then now what's the problem with the capital gain? You have capital gain taxes. So you've actually got to pay taxes to get rid of your real estate. Whereas if you don't get rid of it, instead you use debt, you use other people's money to cash out, guess what that cash out is? That cash out is tax-free, because it's not income, it's a loan against your asset. So there's a lot of secrets of the wealthy we could get into that come through owning real estate, but it comes down to getting started, because it doesn't matter if you know all these secrets of the wealthy if you don't have any wealth yourself. You've got to get some wealth built up to really take full advantage of these secrets of the wealthy. And so what that means is you need to become an owner of real estate if you're not already. And look, you don't have to get a real estate license. If you could go out and buy real estate now without a real estate license, more power to you, make it happen. But if you're in a position where you want to buy real estate and you feel like you can't, I guarantee you it's not because of your lack of access to money and capital. It's because of your lack of knowledge of opportunities and how to really leverage so much that's out there in real estate. And look, we're not here to sell you some get-rich-quick weekend scam thing where it's like $1,000 for a weekend and all you find out about is a more expensive course that's really going to teach you the exciting part of real estate investing. No, we're here to teach real information, to get you real licenses, to get you things that could actually earn you money without having to secure any assets. So your real estate license can be a very powerful tool to help build up some reserves, so you could actually have, in addition to your automatic down payment from your commission, additional money. So maybe you don't even have to rely on other people's money to be able to get the funding together to acquire an investment. But look, there's so many opportunities that are out there, and right now in this market, there's a lot of people that are afraid to act. And when you see the real estate market starting to rebound even more again, when interest rates go down and property values start increasing again, guess what? People are buying in. It's going to start driving up prices all over again. So if you want to have a good deal, there's immense opportunities right now in the real estate market to look for high days on market. If something's been sitting on the market, it's obviously priced too high. And if they need to sell, they're probably going to be open to some negotiations if it's been sitting on the market. So you won't know unless you ask, and you won't know how to ask if you don't know what you're doing, you don't have any experience. So let us help you out with that. Let us help you get the information it is that you need to become the real estate professional it is that you want to be able to hit the goals it is that you want to be able to hit, to put yourself on this exponential path as opposed to the marginal path of growth. Yeah, these things, again, they're great. Like I said, I've got 401ks, savings, stocks, cryptos, all that stuff. My companies employ me as an employee because I work for my companies. I do things to help grow the company, and so I'm an employee of the company, so I get these employee benefits. But at the same time, I have multiple businesses. I have investment properties. I have so many irons in the fire, as they'd like to say, because I want the exponential growth. I want to be able to have more, to be able to help more people, to be able to do more. To be able to really enjoy life. Look, let's take a moment here to be selfish. Who wants to go on vacation? Who wants to be able to take some time to be able to reward yourself? Because you deserve that. Now, if you're not in a position, maybe you don't deserve it yet, but get yourself in a position to where you can enjoy the rewards that life has to offer. But if you stay on this marginal route, you're literally enslaved to the mediocrity that exists in the world. And that's not saying quit your job today. That's not saying that life is pointless. That's saying get out there and find yourself a side hustle that you could use to really level up your life. And if you're looking for something that's kind of a surefire thing, because again, you show me any billionaire, any millionaire, I will show you the real estate they own. And yeah, it might be some nice little personal residences, but a lot of these people are using cash flow from real estate to be able to build their wealth while they sleep. And that's something that very few things offer in this world. And that's where you have the ability to buy back your time so you could really live and enjoy the life it is that you want to live and enjoy. So if there's any way we could help you out with this, here's our phone number, 813-333-2676. If you don't have a real estate license yet, look, this could be done as quickly as 1 week. You go pass an exam. We had somebody just tell us, one of my agents at one of my brokerages, they went from taking the class to passing their exam in 18 days. 18 days they had their real estate license. 18 days. You're 18 days away from changing your life. Maybe it takes you 30 days. Maybe it takes you a little bit longer. But we have students doing this under 30 days, which is unbelievable. There's so many opportunities you could cash in on out there, but if you don't have a seat at the table, you're going to miss out. So 813-333-2676. We've got that great Friday sale today. If you want to make today not just a good Friday, but a great Friday, use promo code GREAT. And that's going to give you 15% off anything over $350. So that'll work for our in-person classes, our live stream classes, our bundle packages, so many different things. So promo code GREAT. You can call us up, give them that promo code. They'll probably give it to you because you call up. We're going to give you the best deal it is we possibly can because we want to help as many people build a real estate empire, to build a successful future through real estate, because it's possible. You can do it. And if you don't do it, some big giant corporation is going to do it. And we're going to all be enslaved to those big giant corporations unless you go out there to really start building your own empire. So we need that in this country right now. We need people out there taking risk. We need people that are going out there to take on challenges. We need people looking in the face of the abyss and saying, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to use my creativity, my good old-fashioned American ingenuity to really embrace the freedom that this country has to offer. But if you're shackled to some job that you can't escape, that you're not doing anything outside of that, that's where you could get stuck in this marginal growth. And that's fine if that's all you want out of life. But if you want to really take everything that life has to offer, that's going to be a lot more possible on an exponential growth path. So any questions, anything we'd help you with, 813-333-2676. Again, you can text the word success if you just want to get added to our text message list. But other than that, I want to thank you guys for joining in today. Happy Good Friday to everyone celebrating that. Happy Easter to everyone celebrating Easter this weekend. Happy Passover. Happy any other holidays we've got coming up here. I think there's like a Holy Week. There's let's see, there's like Earth Day and stuff like that coming up this month. So whatever you celebrate, more power to you. This is America. We're here for freedom. But you've got to live like you're free. And if your finances are not free, if you don't have financial freedom, it doesn't really feel like freedom. But when you have cash available to take trips, to build your future, to invest, to take advantage of opportunities, life could be a whole lot different. So anyway, we could help you with that, 813-333-2676. I want to thank you all for joining with us live today. This replay will be available at tampaschoolofrealestate.com. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.
Are you studying for your Florida real estate exam? If you are, you need to check out our Pass First Try strategy. You're going to love this. It's 4 steps that we break down the process to study for your Florida real estate exam. So you're set up to pass your Florida real estate exam because that's what you're studying for, right? To pass your exam. It's 4 steps. Number 1, you learn the information. You've got to learn this to be able to
pass the exam, but it doesn't stop at learning. Step 2, you've got to reinforce the basic, simple, key concepts. As you learn this information, keep reviewing the simple things. You don't need to know everything, but you got to review these basic key concepts. Step 3, you've got to test your knowledge. The exam's going to test your knowledge, so if you don't test your knowledge in advance, you won't find out if you know what you think you know until you take the exam. And then step 4 is be confident and prepared, because even if you know this material, you need to be confident that you know the material. Check out the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com. So you just got your real estate license. How can you jumpstart your real estate business? The number one thing you should do before you do anything else is post-licensing. Now look, this is already a requirement, so you're gonna have to do it anyways, but here's why you wanna do it early. The sooner you do post-licensing, the sooner you're gonna learn the real-world concepts in post-licensing that will help you create a business plan, that'll help you plan for your success in real estate. Post-licensing is all about real-world topics that are usable, that'll help you grow your real estate business. And at Tampa School of Real Estate, we have the best post-licensing courses around. Find out more about how post-licensing can help you jumpstart your real estate career. Go to postflorida.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.